What's up YouTube, it's A-Train, and today we're going to be talking about stimulants. Now, today we're going to go over all the stims that I typically carry on me in a raid. Now, this is going to apply mostly to like midway through wipe. You're not going to be able to find a lot of these or have access to these right away. So it's going to be important to note, like early wipe, you're going to be using a lot different stims if you're using any stims at all. And so that's going to be kind of like the most important thing to keep in mind as we go through this guide. Now let's go ahead and check out inside my injector case here. We typically keep these stims on hand at all times. Now first up, one of the most important stims here that I like to keep a lot of, not only inside my injector case but also on my character, is the Propital regenerative stimulant injector. Now this is a great stim because not only does it have painkiller effects, this also it boosts your metabolism, your health, and your vitality. So this is one of those things, it's going to cause health regeneration as well as it's not going to tank your food and water. So that's one of the biggest things to keep in mind when it comes to a lot of stims, is that when you take these, they will dehydrate you or kill your energy pretty rapidly. So knowing which ones are going to have what effect is going to be pretty important to when you use these throughout the wipe. Now, as we can see here, this takes obviously 2 seconds, removes pain for 240 seconds, which is important because we can use this as they call it pre-medding, so that we can, when we know we're about to get into a fight, we can pop a Propital. This is going to remove that pain effect, so if we end up blacking out a limb during the fight, we're not going to be slowed down or have any issues. It removes concussion, so that's going to be really helpful for those times your helmet actually works when you get hit in the head. This doesn't heal you super rapidly, but it's great, and I love to use a Propital when I am either in a fight or after a fight and I have to CMS and put some limbs back on. This allows me to heal all those other parts while I'm doing surgery. Now, like I mentioned, this is also going to increase our metabolism, our health, and our vitality, which is going to help keep us alive a lot longer. However, this does give us hand tremors and tunnel vision effect. Now, this happens for 30 seconds, but it's delayed by 270 seconds. So what that means here is that we are going to remove pain at 30 seconds after the pain effects have, or the pain killer effects have wore off. We're going to get tremors, which is going to make us shake, which is going to make our aim a little bit more difficult. However, typically by then the fight is over and that's not going to be super important. The tunnel effect says 30 seconds. It never really feels like it lasts that long, but that's just going to cause your screen to kind of come in and out and get a little bit darker. Now, that's not a huge deal. Now, one of the best things about playing the way that I play and using Propitals the way I do is that I can craft these in the Medstation. This requires a level 3 Medstation, but for the price of 1 ibuprofen, 1 golden star, and 2 piles of meds, we can craft 7 Propitals in just under 2 hours. Now, that's going to give us the ability to start that craft, and if you're anything like me, you only get to play for a couple hours at a time every night. So we can start that craft right as we get on, and then by the time we're getting off, we've got 7 more Propitals ready to go, because that's probably what you use throughout the night. So you can kind of constantly refill these. Now, I find ibuprofens and golden stars and meds pretty easily as I'm loot running or just kind of playing and looting. So it's a great way to kind of keep that restocked, and you don't have to worry about, do you have that unlocked with their therapist for roughly, I think it's 33,000 per Propital, or buying them on the flea market, which, depending on how late it is into wipe, or if you're playing PvE, whatever, wherever you're at, it's going to cost somewhere around the same, anywhere from, I've seen it down to 25,000 up to 45,000 per Propital. So it's going to be a great way to save you a little bit of money so that you can keep on playing. Now, I keep a bunch of these on me for a very important reason, which is I also like to carry the Obdobolos 2 injector. Now, this is a great injector to keep on you. This isn't anything like the Propital. This isn't for healing or pre-medding or anything for a fight. This is purely about a weight limit increase. So here we can say this increases our weight limit by 45%. So this is great for if you're loot running, you'd pop this at the beginning, but the biggest problem here is this has health regeneration -1, which is why I keep all of those Propitals on me. Now, this lasts for 1800 seconds, and so this is going to slowly deteriorate us over time. So this is going to damage us slowly. We're going to take damage. So that's where that Propital comes in. You'll take the Propital. Now the Propital doesn't last for 1800 seconds, so you do have to take a few Propitals, but it's totally worth it if you're loot running and you know you're going to be making more than what these injectors are worth. Now the other thing it does is it does tank your stamina, which is pretty huge. So a lot of times what people will use, and what I do as well, is the SJ6, because this does stamina recovery +2. Now this is going to help us recover that stamina, as well as increase our max stamina by 30. So that's 30 levels. That's not like just a number 30. That's going to be 30 levels. So it's going to be a huge increase. Now the only issue with this is that it does, again, gives you hand tremors and tunnel effect, as well as it doesn't really show it here, but it does tank your food and water quite a bit. So it is something important to keep, food and water on you, or whenever you see something, eat it, drink it, whatever the case is. Now next up, my middle row here, these are really important because these are also what I would use in a fight. Now we'll start with the Zagustin. So this is a Zagustin hemostatic drug injector. Basically what this means is it's perfect for stopping bleeds. And that's what I use this for. So if you ever get in a fight and you get a couple light bleeds, maybe a heavy bleed, maybe a couple of heavy bleeds, this is going to stop all of that. Now you can use this ahead of time as well. This stops and prevents bleedings, but I like to use this once I do have those bleeds already. And the duration is 180 seconds. So you have 180 seconds to not bleed or stop that bleeding. And that's perfect. So sometimes popping like the Zagustin here, it's a good idea to then pop along with a Propital. Now again, we do see the hydration recovery -1.4, so this does tank your hydration quite a bit. So it's very important to keep in mind you're going to be really thirsty after you use one of these. Moving on to the eTGc Change Regenerative Stimulant Injector. Now this one is basically a Propital, except it does tank your energy, recovery, endurance, health, etc. Quite a bit, but it heals you way faster. So as we remember, the Propital was a 1. The health regen on the eTGc is 6.5. So this heals you rapidly. So when do I use an eTGc? I use these when I'm in a fight and I'm really low and my whole body is red, or if I just got out of a fight and I can hear more people are coming, I'll pop one of these knowing that I have to put a limb back on and I need to be quick. So this is really important to keep in your injector case. Again, it does tank the energy and the hydration, so just keep that in mind and make sure that you're prepared for that. Now last up, I want to talk about, this is one of the newer injectors that appeared in the last patches of 0.14. And so this is the 2A2. Now this is purely a loot stim in a sense, that it's similar to like the Obdobolos 2, where this is going to increase your attention, your perception, and your weight limit. Now it does tank your hydration a little bit, but I like to use this for the weight limit aspect. For 900 seconds, you get an increase by 15%. Also, perception and attention, if you know you're going to be searching a lot of filing cabinets or anything like that, I highly recommend having one of these on you. So maybe if you're looking for keys, you're looking for some of those quest items that are going to spawn like labs, key cards, things like that inside a filing cabinet, or maybe you're a scav and you happen to find one, pop it. 900 seconds is a long time and you're going to be able to do a lot of filing cabinet searching. Now, one of the biggest things that I would recommend doing to improve your stimulant game is heading over to the flea market, going to medication, and then opening injectors. Now, this is going to allow you to go through every single injector type, as we see here, and click on each one, hit inspect, and check out what does it do. So I think this is a great way to kind of consider, hey, what is it that I want to use? Now, your playstyle might not be anything like mine, so the stimulants that I just showed you may not be entirely applicable to your situation. However, I think that they're great to have on hand. Maybe you don't loot so much, so you can take out those things like the Obdobolos 2 or the 2A2 and swap that out for something else. I know a lot of people like to keep a Perfotoran on them, which is right here, and we can see here, For 60 seconds here, this is going to stop bleeds. This is going to health regen by 1.5, but it does lower your health overall skill. So that is one thing to consider, as well as your energy recovery. So that is something to consider whenever you're looking at any of these stimulants. As far as what they... Another great stim is the M.U.L.E. This is similar to how I keep the Obdobolos 2 on me. In the same sense that the Obdobolos 2 damages you by 0.1, the M.U.L.E. stim does that as well. However, it does have an increased weight limit of 50%, but it only lasts for 900 seconds. So this, you still would need to use a Propital with it, but you don't get all the other effects that the Obdobolos 2 has, and it's a shorter time limit. So these are important to keep in mind of when you're considering what should I use, or if you have access to these versus an Obdobolos 2. Another great stim that is used early wipe is Trimadol. Now Trimadol is great because it does remove pain for 180 seconds. So this is one of those good ones that you can go into a fight and use it to remove pain for the next 3 minutes, removes your concussion, increases your endurance and strength and attention and stress resistance. These are all really good things to have in a fight with your max stamina. However, again, we do see here, this is your energy recovery and hydration recovery by 0.5 for 180 seconds. So that is going to affect your hydration levels and your metabolism. Now, one of the most simple stimulants that you're gonna find everywhere, and even it's really important for questing, is the morphine. This is one of those stimulants, along with adrenaline, which we'll cover shortly, that I use typically a lot early wipe. Now, it's terrible for your energy and your hydration, but luckily it's a hard number, -10, -15. So we don't have to worry about things like 0.5 to recovery. So it's not doing any math. It's very simple to know, hey, I have 60 energy and 60 hydration, and I'm going to knock off 10 and 15 of that. In exchange, I'm going to get to remove pain for 300 seconds and remove concussions, which is great when we know we're about to go into a raid. Now, one of the main things you'll notice is this doesn't have an after effect. So once it's wore off, we're not going to get tunnel vision. We're not going to get shaky or anything like that. So it's great to keep that in mind. Now, moving on to adrenaline, we'll see here, adrenaline does, however, have a bit of a downside. Now, the great thing is this removes pain, removes concussion. It only lasts for 60 seconds though, so it's not that long, and it does increase your endurance by +10 and your strength. Now, it does, however, lower your stress resistance, which means your player will get a little bit shaky during those battles. So that steady aim, especially when you're holding your breath, you will notice it'll start to shake as you're aiming down sights, as well as your health regeneration will go up, which is great. This is kind of like the poor man's Propital, especially early wipe, but it does do hydration recovery and energy recovery, delayed by 50 seconds, which we know this lasts for 60 seconds. So those last 10 seconds, we're gonna run into these for 30 seconds. We're gonna go hydration recovery -1 and energy recovery -0.8. So that is going to, again, eat into those. So keeping in mind, if you are going to use these, make sure you have food and water on you, or make sure you can seek it out, or that you have plenty of hydration and energy to spare, because the worst thing is using these stims and still having to run across the map to get to the extract and then dying of energy. Now, thank you so much for watching today's stim guide. If you learned anything new, make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe if you don't. I can see out there that about 50% of you that watch these videos aren't subscribed. So make sure you hit subscribe so you're notified when more of these tips and tricks videos come out. And be sure to check out more in this series that I'm putting together, which is all about making you a better player. It's going to be tips and tricks on how to play through the map, how to utilize some of the skills and other unique features to Tarkov that make it such an incredible game. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.